got to talking just now, and what we were talking about was the idea that people will think it would somehow be valuable to learn to manipulate another person. They'll say, how do I manipulate another person to get what it is that I want? But really, the most important person that you have to use these kind of like dark manipulation tactics on is yourself, not somebody else. You've got to learn to manipulate yourself. So what we want to shoot into is a video explaining how to manipulate your own brain to understand your brain so that you can get it to do what you want. It's kind of weird because when you drive a car, you could sort of just drive the car forward, you could turn it right, you could turn it left because you understand the car. But isn't it weird that it's hard sometimes to get your brain to do what it is that you want to do? And I can tell you right now, all the blueprints are out there on how to make a ton of cash, as well as have crazy social success, how to be very, very spiritually tapped in, very, very, very happy. It's all out there. On average, you could learn those skills within a couple hours. That's true, by the way. Like, you could learn the skills to be a multimillionaire in a couple hours flat. For real. But the harder thing that you can't learn is usually going to be execution. And that is something that often takes years because you just can't get your brain to do it as you want to do. You know, you get home from work, you procrastinate, you self-sabotage, you waste time, and you just can't make yourself do it. But imagine if you had the skills to just make yourself do it. That is what we're going to be talking about extensively today. Now, by the way, this is going to be a very, very deep and profound video. Make sure that if you like what it is that you learn here, that you hop into what it is that you see right over there. We're coming to Portland this week, in Portland, in the middle of the week. And then in Seattle on the weekend, we're going to be running a completely free event there on how to make a lot of cash, OG social skills, how to get spiritually tapped in. Going to be a ton of networking there. We're going to be going out at nighttime. It's going to be awesome. From there, we're going to be hitting up Honolulu, Chicago, New York, Boston, Philadelphia, DC, Dallas, Houston, Austin, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Vegas, and the list goes on. So make sure that you click the link below, see if your city's on the list. And by the way, if you'd like to get the best lessons right now, because I'd recommend that you fly in, but if you just want the best lessons, what we have is a step-by-step course that I'm actually taking away. So we are removing this. It's not going to be available anymore, but it's been up for a little bit, but we're taking this away. So if you want to see it, you got to jump in now. That's at what you see on the bottom right there, www.higherpurposeprogram. That is not us riffing or joking around. That is for people that are serious. Like if you're someone who's serious, like I just want to make progress now. Like you want to make a lot of progress in the next couple of hours right now. You want to get out of pain and get what it is that you want. Well, the lessons that we teach in there are really clear, step by step. You get invited into a free community in there. You get invitations to all sorts of cool stuff. We wind up even doing really, really cool Zoom calls. So if you just want to get inside Higher Purpose Program, we're actually taking that down. That's going to be gone. So if you want to be in there and get the very, very best lessons that you would have got at a free event, hop in there. But of course, if you come out and fly out to see me, we're going to be networking and going out together. That's your best bet for this year. But for the thing that you could do right now is inside Higher Purpose Program. And that's actually be taken away. So make sure that you hop in there. Okay, so we're going to be going into how to manipulate your own brain. Okay? And basically what I see is people are whacked out of their fucking gourds. Okay? That's what I see. People are barely sentient, barely in control of themselves, can't get themselves to do shit. It's a fucking mess out there. I mean, it's a fucking mess. And then that results in like this sort of uneducated, fucked up populace or population that it then votes in fucked up politicians. And now you got the fucked up politicians putting all these dumb fucking laws on this dumbass population. And you're trying to sit there in the middle of this fucking thing like, what the fuck am I gonna do? What if I just wanna work and be happy? Why I gotta deal with this shit? But that's the world that we live in today. Now, if you're somebody where you're whacked out of your fucking gourd, how do you know you're whacked out of your gourd? Because you're not rich, because you don't have what you want, because you don't have social skills, because your life fucking sucks. If that's you, you're part of the fucking problem. So rather than continuing to be part of the problem, we want you to be a part of the solution. How do we get there? We get there by learning to understand our own minds so we can manipulate our own brains and get what it is that we want in life. So you're the pro at this. I thought that I would kind of, I basically said to you, like, what is some of like the best ideas that you have on how to manipulate your own brain? I'm gonna get you talking right in there.
Absolutely. So you interject at any time you want to. We can kind of go in any direction because I can talk for a lot on this. So if we're looking at first manipulating the brains, okay, there's a few things that we need to understand first. The first thing we need to understand is what it is we actually want, all right? It's like a lot of people, like I open up one of my seminars for saying, it's like the number one reason why people don't get what they want. What do you think it can be? And everyone's like, oh, it's the money, or it's the time, or this. It's like, no, the number one reason you don't get the things you want in your life is because you don't know what the fuck you actually want. the amount of people that are clueless, and even the ones who they come to my seminars or we talk or whatever, and I know what I want. Okay, what do you want? And it's not clear. Like, did you write it down today? Is the goals written down? Is there clarity? It's the most simplest stuff. It's like self-help 101. What do you want? But it's so simple, and sometimes I was with a mentor actually this week in Mexico, and he's like, we're doing some spiritual shit. He's like, look for the answer, amigo. The answer you're searching for is actually going to be the simplest thing. I'm like, and I got it. I'm like, oh, this is the simplest fucking thing. It could be just that. But if we're not sure on where we actually want to get to, it doesn't matter what we're actually doing inside the brain then, because you could be completely off track. So we've got to look at a few fundamental things on how the brain actually works. And one thing, you just gave me an idea. So I want to sort of segue a second before what I was going to talk about. I want to look at, we need to look at what actually makes up the brain. You were just saying, you're like, the politicians and the people doing all these sorts of things. And we need to look at, first, what actually does manipulate somebody. We're going to how are we actually manipulative? One of my mentors was an interrogation expert, a Green Beret for over 20 years, and he's a neuroscientist as well. We've had big conversations about exactly how do you actually manipulate someone. And not, like you said, not to try and manipulate someone, but you need to understand what actually has to happen for someone to be manipulated. And you know what he said to me? The number one thing that actually will manipulate somebody. They did studies. Have you ever heard the Milgram experiment?
Yeah, I talk about it all the time.
Right? Are they familiar? Should I recap it? If you're not familiar.
Quick recap, they know it though.
Right? So the Milgram experiment, long story short, they put two people in a room, right? Somebody in one other room, somebody in this room. And what this person in this room thought he was doing was electrocuting the person in the other room. And they said to the person that, hey, what we're doing right here, you have to ask them a question. If they get it wrong, you have to give them an electrocution shot. And you could hear them yelling. And they said, if you go all the way up to 250 volts, that's enough to kill somebody, but the machine went to 400 volts. Every single time they get a question wrong, you have to do one higher. Okay? After 1 hour doing the experiment, what they realized was how many people actually went past the 250 volts was 100% of people. 100% of people within an hour would have committed murder. But they didn't do it like out of like, oh, I'm going to kill somebody. But they did it out of excruciating pain within. And what they've proven over and over and over and over and over, the number one thing, the most important thing that actually will manipulate anybody is authority biased. So if we want to look at actually how do we manipulate ourselves, we've got to first become aware of who may be manipulating us. Where are we biased to the things that are happening around us, the government or our family or our spouse or whatever it might be, but actually being clear of the authority. I just wanted to segue onto that because you open up being like, people are being confused this way and this way. And it's so true because we have this thing, authority bias. And even us right now, these guys might not even know who the hell I am.
Exactly.
Right? But I'm sitting here with a microphone, I'm sitting with you. Instantly, I have the authority. And you're going to be more biased to what I have to say because of that. Now, we have ethics. The things we teach should apply to your life. So let's look at actually what has to happen to manipulate yourself. You got to look at what drives all human behavior. In the most simplest form, there's only two things that drive all human behavior. To gain pleasure and to avoid pain. It comes back to most tribal days. You know, there's the first part of our brain, our reptilian part of our brain is 2 to 10 million years old. And it's so ingrained and coded to be in fear of to run away from things that may give us danger. Because back in the day, when we were cavemen, cave women, we had to get back, we had to survive, we had to reproduce. Is the only thing that mattered. So if there was some sort of threat, okay, we would say that's dangerous. But now let's fast forward to the modern world. People these days are so programmed to being on their phone, and so let's say they're on Tinder all day long, and then you take them out to a bar. Hey, go and talk to a stranger, or go to a networking event. Instantly, their brain says to them like, oh, scary, frightening, and they don't know why. And in like a millisecond, it's going to send signals into their body. This is scary, this is fearful, I'm not sure why, because it's the fear of the unknown. And this is the biggest thing. And you might ask me like, oh, why do you want to do this? And it's that little fear thing popping in again, because it's the fear of, well, what if this happens? So, and how do I know this? Because I ask people, I'm like, I've never been in a room before where I've said, put up your hand, who doesn't want to be really, 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 really rich and really, 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 really happy? No one. Everybody has the goal. But I'm like, why doesn't everybody get it then? Because there's two minds we're working with. We're working with the conscious mind and we're working with the unconscious mind. And a lot of people think they know about the unconscious mind, and we can kind of go in any direction you want. But a lot of people think they know the unconscious mind, but they don't really know much about it at all. Because I like to say the conscious mind is the goal setter. Every single one of you watching this right now can actually be like, okay, what's the goal I want for the next 12 months? I want to have this. I want to make this much money. I want to have this partner, or these abs, or whatever it might be. But the unconscious mind is the goal getter. And the thing is, the problem, what happens to people is these two are not in rapport with each other. Same as you go out, you're not in rapport with someone you're trying to connect with, you're not going to have a good conversation. You're not going to probably get a sale. You're not going to pick somebody up. It's the same thing. That's what's happening. I like to refer to people. I like to explain the mind like this. It's like a massive organization, 1,000 employees. You're the CEO. The CEO is the conscious mind. But you have 1,000 employees. And imagine if you're the CEO, you come down, you tell all of your team one day, like, here's the vision of the company. Here's what we want to do. Here's where we're going. And every single 1,000 employees were frightened by that. And when you walked away, they started to work against you. It's exactly how it works. But it's so out of people's awareness because the CEO is like, I'm just seeing like what's actually happening. And people go different directions in this. They can come back down. The CEO can even try and fight against them and be like, well, I'm going to do it all on myself. Try to run the entire company themselves, burn out one day. Or they try to get a few people on their side. But what I always encourage people to do is to actually go down, speak with the people on the floor, get to know them, be like, what's the fears here? Because every single thing the reason you're not having every single thing we want right now is because right now you're actually being manipulated over the things that are more frightening to you. Because somewhere in your unconscious mind, you perceive that either the attainment or the pursuit of the very thing you want will give you more pain, more suffering, or more fear potentially than actually what you have right now. That's why people stay exactly where they are. So I'm not sure. We can go in lots of different angles here. So I'm not sure where you want to go.
Well, I think, first of all, one thing that I want to point out is that you'll hear this and you think to yourself, like, is it that complicated? Is it like the CEO and the 1,000 employees? And you can see clearly that it is 100% on point because look how fucked up your life is. Like, look at what a fucking mess your life is. And when you see somebody who truly has this down, it's actually kind of a glory to behold, where you see somebody who's just knocking down goals, piling up cash, crushing it socially, living their fucking life. We just came back from the Ty Lopez event today. And, you're seeing a lot of people there that are just peak performers and just amazing the kind of lives that they build. It's just fucking awesome. But there has to be an alignment between their conscious mind and unconscious mind. It's like when I walk into a seminar room, I feel the same thing, right? Like if I have any kind of inner resistance unconsciously, I can't crush the seminar. But if I am 100% aligned in my intention, like I am here for you as a student, I will fucking smash this for you. I will knock this out of the park for you. And then the energy is just freely flowing out because there's an alignment in thoughts, words, and actions, unconscious mind. Everything is just straight lined up, total clarity of intention. That's how you're going to get what you want. One of my favorite videos, like I love to travel in nature. There's this Gates of the Arctic National Park video, which is like a really, really hard to get to national park in Alaska. I think it's either the second least or least visited national park in America, because it's really hard to get there. And you got to hire private planes and all this. And it literally says at the beginning of the video, they're like, Gates to the Arctic National Park. And it shows like all these crazy wildlife. And it's like, if you got to get here, if you want to get here, you got to want it bad. And like, that's the thing. Like, you want to get to Gates the fucking Arctic, which I did, is awesome, life-changing. You got to want it. You're not just going to wake up one day and get to the Arctic, right? Like in a private plane in the middle of fucking Alaska, past the Arctic Circle. Like, you're not just going to wake up there. You've got to want it. But while it is least visited national park, every year people do go there. I've been there. It's real. It's amazing. So that's what life is like. Like, you want to have like, whether it's like basic shit, like a giant mansion or a fucking sick ass car, a bunch of fucking watches and 5-star dinners, or, you want to date someone that's a bombshell or have like a crazy dating life, or you want to be a super happy person, or you want to spend, maybe only work, 9 or 10 months, or only work 2-3 months a year and be off 9 or 10 months a year, and just go into nature and do your thing. And, or maybe you want to leave a legacy. This is not just going to happen on its own, right? And it's probably not going to happen by you being like, that'd be cool, right? Like, that'd be pretty cool. Like, like, I think, like a lot of people, I feel like they almost want to clap for themselves just because they like formulated a thought. They're like, what I realized, like, I think I would like a bit more money. It's like, bravo, like you formulated a thought. Like, you're not a 2-year-old that gets a clap when it takes a shit. It's like, mommy, I took a poo. And like, mom's like, yay. It's like, yes, good for you. Your conscious mind formulated a thought. Next step is we've got to get your unconscious mind lined up. And then from there, we've got to actually have an action plan on how to go do it. So that's what he's talking about right here, is basically getting absolute total alignment. And you can feel that from people. You can feel when somebody's aligned, and you can feel the force of their personality.
Yeah, so let's look into this, right? Because 100% right. But let's look at, like, when we're talking about the unconscious mind, I want to break this down a little bit more. So practically, so you guys watching this right now can actually not only learn something, but walk away inside applying it today. So when I like to talk about the unconscious mind, or even the attainment of, because I'm writing a book on this right now. It's like actually reverse engineering. Like, how do you actually create your dream life? I put in the 5 laws, but we need to reverse engineer things first. When people come to me, well, I'm sure when they come to you, they don't come to you and say, here's my goal. Even if they do, they don't want the goal, do they? They want a lifestyle. They want to either make more money, they want to grow their business, they want to be happier, they want to get a girl, or whatever it might want to be. They want the lifestyle. So then when you reverse engineer and we go, okay, so what's the goal you need? What's the goal you need in the result of that goal? You'll then have that lifestyle. You want to live in a place like this? Okay, what do you need to make per year to get this, right? And then we reverse engineer it, as we do in Self-Help 101. Okay, now we're going to take action. Massive action, right? I did this for a long time, but I was doing all the action. I'm like, why isn't the fucking thing working, right? Even when you're saying this, I'm like, I would be looking at you like 5, 6, 7 years ago and be like, I get what you're saying, but how do you fucking do that though? Because in my head, there's something blocking me and I don't get it. And then I realized that there's one step before that. And it's the philosophy that drives the action. The philosophy that drives the action is the coding in our computer, right? It's the thing that we've actually put into our projector. If we put shit into our projector, we're going to project shit out. And how I like to explain this is we've got 3 different levels, okay? So if we look at all of our results in our life, we get the results in our life because we do some sort of behavior. But we've all done a good behavior before, got no good results, so we did it again. So it recycles. But then we've done a shit behavior before and gotten a shitty result, right? And we're like, what? And then we do the same fucking thing again. And then people are like, oh, why am I back here again and again? Well, because it goes a few layers deeper. See, in order to do a certain behavior, you got to have a certain skill set. But in order to do a certain skill set, you must have some sort of belief. Now we're talking about the unconscious levels. You have to have some sort of belief about your ability to do the skill set. This is why I've met people that have got an incredible skill set. Let's just say, for example, they're an amazing singer, the best singer ever. Doesn't matter how many people tell them you're an incredible singer. If they believe that if they step up there and they're going to be judged, and if they're judged and they're not loved or whatever, then they'll never have the balls to step up and sing on Broadway. They'll never have the balls to go out there and do America's Got Talent or nothing like that, because their fundamental belief drives all of their skill set and their behavior. That's the motivation behind it all. And then, so let's talk about what actually creates a belief before we go a little bit deeper in here. Because I want to share these 2 things, and this will like transform people's fucking lives. I said this before. I'm like, I only teach this stuff in my like paid stuff. This is the first. I haven't even shown this on my own podcast, but we're gonna look at. There's 4 things. Okay, there's 4 things that actually will create a belief. Because this is what I want. You've probably jumped on podcast stuff before and been like, I've heard about limiting beliefs. What do? I met a person in Mexico the other day. He's like, I've been doing the work for years, but I don't know what the fuck the work actually is. I'm like, that's interesting. Yeah, I get that, because not many people talk about what the work is. So let's look at what actually creates a belief. There's 4 things. The first thing that creates a belief is your state. Okay? So the state, our emotional state. So let's say, for example, if we're in a pretty unempowered state, let's say we want to go into a business meeting and we're feeling unconfident, that is not going to be something that's going to install or create or even access an empowering belief in the past. But if we're in something a little bit more empowered, like confidence, and sometimes people are like, I don't have confidence. That's bullshit, because confidence is the feeling. Confidence is a feeling. It's not an act. It's not a result. Confidence, you can feel confidence right now. We can feel certain right now. And if you can think of a time in your life where you've been certain and confident, where you've won something, achieved something, you can access that straight away. So the first thing is state. The second thing is intention. Okay? So let's say, again, you just said before, when you get on stage, my intention here is to fucking change your life. And you even just said it, right? So you're installing and accessing past beliefs, being like, well, my intention here. But if your intention was like, oh, I just want to like come here and if I just got to do the job, then your beliefs about yourself and your skill set are going to be down here. But you come in and be like, my intention is to fucking rock their world, right? And because that's the second thing. The third thing is a future anticipated response. So future pacing. I did this before. I said to you, like, the first time I ever got into personal development was like, I actually picked up like a PUA book. And I was 18 years old. And I used to go and talk to a girl at the bar. I used to do it at 18 years old. It was like the first thing. And I used to think, okay, if I go talk to her, and then the worst thing in your head plays out. She's going to throw a drink in my face. The whole music in the club's going to stop, and everyone's going to stop and look at me and be like, what a loser, right? We play this in our head. And we often go to the absolute worst case scenario. So now we're not living in the present, we're living in the future. And then we come back to the present and we go, well, fuck, now I'm going to create a belief because I've just created something in my mind. Our unconscious mind doesn't know what's real and what's fake. Anything we can imagine in our head is going to feel real to us. So we imagine the girl throwing the drink in our face, and then we're like, I'm shit. I can't do this. And then the fourth thing, this is the kicker. This will make or break people. We said all the people we was hanging out with at the party, and I didn't really recognize until you just say, like, they're all like killing their balls. They're very confident. I'm like, yeah, because you know what? They've really like doubled down this fourth thing, which is evidence. Every belief is built and reinforced with evidence. So when you get on stage, you've been doing it for 20 years. You get on stage, and same as me, I get on stage, and I'm like, someone asked me the other day, do you get stage fright? No, like, 'cause I've just got thousands of events before my past where I've done it and not died. And people liked it. So I've got a lot of evidence that's stacked up that actually says to me like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. So I believe myself. I have a good belief. But then people might be thinking, well, but what if you haven't done it before? Here's cool. Great. Can you borrow the belief from someone else that the thing you're wanting to do is actually attainable? I just got my skydive license last year because I'm a bit of a sick fuck like that. I like to jump out of airplanes for fun. And right before I was about to go, I was kind of shitting myself because I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. This is a bit of a dumb idea. And I started to do this. I'm like, why am I, I don't really have this belief yet. I'm getting really in my head. I'm getting scared. I'm like, but I don't know how to deal with this fear shit. And I said to myself in my head, I go, what are you really afraid of? And I go, I'm not really afraid. It's just, what if you don't open the parachute? And I'm talking to myself as you do. I go, why the fuck would you not open the parachute? I'm like, well, I don't know. What if I just do? After I had a little argument with myself, I came to the idea that I'm like, it's not about fear. It's not about any of this. You don't trust yourself. And that hit me. I was like, fucking no if I don't trust myself. I haven't done this yet. Great. I haven't done this thing I'm about to do yet. But can I do two things? Can I borrow the belief from someone else that they can jump out of an airplane, safely land and not die? Yes, because people are doing it right in front of me. And two, can I get some beliefs from the past of things that I have accomplished that were scary at the time? I got to the other side of it, and I can borrow that belief and bring it forward as past evidence that I'm someone who actually does shit that's a little bit hard. The reason a lot of people suffer these days and don't get the shit they want is not really because they're not working hard enough or doing the right things. It's because we will get in life whatever we believe we're worthy of receiving. But our worthy of receiving level is in direct correlation to our self-esteem and self-worth. But this is in direct correlation to the things that we said we were going to do that we didn't do. So people's self-worth is just dropping these days because they're like, they say, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to the gym at 6 o'clock tomorrow. And then tomorrow, 6:05 comes, they sleep in. They go, I'll do it tomorrow. And a mentor said to me one time, he's like, the only thing that's going to really matter about your self-esteem, what you believe about yourself, is who are you when you're by yourself? And I was like, oh, fuck. Because I could be this person in the spotlight on Instagram, whatever, and then behind scenes do things that I'd tell people I wouldn't do here. And then unconsciously, I have this outer rapport resistance going like, consciously I'm trying to be this person, but unconsciously it's going, you're not that fucking person. Who are you kidding yourself? So this was really the process of me starting to wrap this stuff in together. So how do you take this and make it practical for your life? Those 4 things. Make sure we're actually in empowering states. So how can you get into an empowering state the next time you want to do incredible actions? Like next time you need to sell someone, whatever it is you're doing, actually, how can you get yourself into an empowering state? Remember a past emotion from the time and past a memory from the time where you've killed it before and feelings of certainty and confidence. How can we stack evidence? How can we set good intentions for what's about to happen? And then how can you future pace the exact result you want to happen? Like these 4 things is what creates beliefs in the real time. And the last thing that really adds on this is justification. When we justify things, I have a rule when people work with me. I'm like, no blaming, complaining, and justifying for a week. Just try it for a week. And if your life's great after a week, maybe do 8 days. If you like 8 days, maybe do 14. If you like 14, do a month. Do 6 months, do a year. Because the thing is, when we justify, we rationalize in our brain. So for example, people go, oh, but I can't do what Owen does. I can't get on stage. Your brain goes, but why? You go, well, because past evidence. You go, oh, yeah, because you failed that thing in grade 6. Someone laughed at you in grade 5. Oh, yeah, it makes sense. You can't do that thing. And then people go, instant payoff. They get to be the victim. They feel comfortable in the now. We're seeking pleasure, avoiding pain in every single moment. So I just avoided pain by not having to do the thing that was hard for me. And I gained pleasure by getting to do nothing. But then it stacks up over life. And then one day they're 40, 50, 60 years old, look themselves in the mirror one day and go, fuck, I've had a whole life of shit that I said I was going to do and I didn't do it. That's beliefs. But then what really drives everyone is another level under. Our value system. This is some hectic shit. So let's look at this. Our value system is some of the most deepest rooted psyche ever. even when I work with people, even if you've done values work before, I talk with people a lot, and I'm like, do you know what your values are? Yeah, I know what my values are. It's this, it's this, it's that. That's not your values. If you think you know what your values are, if you don't just consciously create your values. Your values are shaped mostly between 0 and 7, right? It's where a lot of them happen,
What
right?
kind of values do you get at that age?
Right? So there's
I'm trying to
three.
think of my kids.
There's
Their value is like just being retarded.
right? Well, think about this, right? There's 3 developmental periods of our life. 0 to 7 is the biggest phase, the imprint phase. So when I do hypnosis on people, I put them in trance. I'll put them into a state of like theta, deep theta. That's where anyone who's, how old are your kids?
5, 12, and 14.
Great. So under 5 right now, they're a little unconscious mind walking around. They don't have a prefrontal cortex gathered yet. That's why when they fuck things up, you're like, why would you do that? They're like, they don't make sense of things yet. So they're literally soaking in. They say, like studies have shown, by the time a kid is 7, about 95% of its programming has already been installed. Because it's just an unconscious mind walk around. It's beliefs, its identity, its values of the world.
Here's something funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so my kids is fucking crazy, bro. Okay, it's a madhouse. So I've never been angry in front of my kids in my entire life. I've never been in a bad mood in front of my kids in my entire life. And all that I do is state pump them like a hawk girl at a club. Like I just am like stay pump, stay pump, stay pump, stay pump. So all that they know of reality is like it's like these 2 parents that just like pump them up, and they're just like like just like they're like so happy, and they just like dance and laugh like all day. And then I just take them around in nature, and then we just go on like massive nature hikes like all over the country. Then we just fly from city to city to city. And then I get them to plan out their day of like everywhere they want to go. And they just go to like zoos, museums, they run around, they do city tours. Then we go in nature, we do hiking, they go to the beach. And then I bring them up in front of seminar audiences, and they can actually run seminars. So like my 11-year-old could even run an entire seminar. I would never do that, obviously, if people, paid to come to the seminars at prime time. But at the end of the day, when they'd be about to go home, I'd say, hey, if you guys want to stay longer, my son's going to come up and he'll go smash it. And he doesn't even know that's weird. And I never even taught him how to do it, by the way. I actually never taught him how to public speak, except maybe a couple little tweaks, like, make sure the crowd can hear you, walk up and, pace up and down a bit. And he can free associate entire seminars, run the whole thing. He's a better public speaker than everyone in that room except the speakers. I've posted this stuff. I mean, he smashes it. Like, he's out of control. You can't, if you try to insult him, he just thinks it's funny. He doesn't get offended by anything.
It sounds like you've built a good, healthy level of self-esteem in them.
It's beyond self-esteem. Like, it's self-esteem, but it's like, there's, what I've noticed with Dylan particularly is like, you would think that somebody being very introspective is probably a good and healthy thing, like having, like, being very deep. And so, like, someone like myself, where it's like, you could give me a topic and I'm like, I'll talk about it for 9 hours. I'm so deep, right? And it's like, Dylan's not like that. Like, Dylan knows everything. He's a top student in the top program in his school district. So it's like pretty crazy stuff. So it's like he knows everything. Like all the knowledge is at the fingertips for him. Like, he knows everything. But he's not, he would almost come across as not being deep, in the sense like he's not introspective. Like, he's just like, it's like, how do you feel? I'm happy. How happy? Super happy. Like, how happy are you out of 10? 10. Is there anything else you want? No. Do you want anything else? Like, are you frustrated by anything? No. Right? Like, he's just present. Like, it's like a Zen master. Like, he's just present. And then if he needs something, like, he has the answers, and he'll just sit down and he'll just go and he'll do it. I don't need to discipline him. I've never had to discipline him. He doesn't do anything wrong. Hyper ethical, wants to help people. If I've hiked brutally hard trails with him. Kalalau Trail in Kauai he's done is incredibly dangerous, incredibly long. We've hiked Eagle Creek in Oregon. We've hiked Harding Glacier in Alaska. We've done overnight hikes deep into Navajo Nation, like rattlesnakes on the ground, stuff like that. He's fearless. He has no fear whatsoever. He'll be on the sides of cliffs, like trails this thick, fall down, you're dead. Just go it along, doesn't feel fear. He's just present. Like, he's just present in the moment. He loves his life, and it's just simple, right? He's not, I feel like a lot of the depth that we have, it comes from like a lot of pain from childhood, where it's like we've had to like think super, super deeply about things. We've got all these like, mental pathways that we go down, and it's like a place that we go to sort of try to process our pain. He doesn't have that pain. The reason why I did that with him was because I felt that a lot of us are hyper motivated because what we went through as kids from pain, but I understood that he wasn't going to have pain. So as a result of that, I was worried about him because I think the greatest pain for a lot of children of parents that are successful is they try to live up to their parents. And, you know, if you look at, like, say, Jaden Smith trying to live up to Will Smith, I mean, it's impossible. Like, what are you supposed to do? Look at LeBron James' kid, Bronny James. What's he supposed to do? You can't live up to that. It's impossible. What do you do? So I realized with my kids, I was like, well, I can't put them through the amount of pain that I was through as a kid, because that's, you can't, that would be abuse. I cannot do that. So I thought, well, rather than making it kind of like just some rich kid who's like some spoiled little dipshit on drugs, why don't I get them to like such a high vibe place that they come from a place of like the cup runneth over? So rather than them being motivated by beating down past demons and pain, why not have it where they're so high energy that the cup runneth over with energy? Now with Tristan, it's a whole other level, because the problem with that one, or I don't know if it's a problem, but whatever it is that now his brother's pumping him up, and then I'm pumping him up, and his mom's pumping him up, and this kid literally is like so pumped up. He's got this huge smile and big eyes, and he's just like so happy. But he can't, but like literally, he's so happy that I've never had a serious conversation. He's only 5, but like you can't talk to him because he'll only play with you. Like you try to talk to him, like he would think this conversation is retarded. He just wants to run around playing with things, and he's just pumping his state. He puts on music, and he's just like dancing all day, and he's like laughing and pumping his state, just running around looking at things. Like he's so in the zone. I've never seen someone that much in the zone. But the cool thing with those kids is, like, even when they do encounter negativity, it's like a buzzsaw. They go through it because they don't even acknowledge the negativity. They just look at it as like funny. It's like, oh, that's weird. Anyway, and they just go right through it.
It's the world they live in.
That's the world they live in. So that's like, I guess what we all could have looked like if our parents didn't fuck us up.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, this isn't even hard to teach kids, but
actually,
nobody does it.
It's good though, right? Because so what you're saying, I've had conversations with people before. It's like, well, yeah, can I use my pain to my advantage? And I think yes, to get started.
Well, oh, by the way, I definitely use pain to my advantage now, but the point is, they're not going to have that.
Yeah.
So if you have it, use it.
But it's good though. That's what I'm saying, right?
If you have it, use it. But if not, you got to use something else.
Yeah, but because we're motivated by either towards what we want or away from what we don't want, right? And what really got me going in the beginning was moving away from what I don't want. But here's the problem. If we become just away from motivated, if our only motivation is to not be in pain, we'll always suffer. Because what happens is, as soon as we get far enough away, this is why people self-sabotage. How many people have you seen go on a diet, drop weight, and then 6 months later, they're back in the exact same position? Or they make money. I see this a lot because we run a money program. People have a money thermostat. Just like the AC, you put the thermostat on, same shit. They might make money. This is why I think it's like 95% of people who win the lottery or end up broke or broker within 5 years, because we have a thermostat. So what happens is, as soon as we get far enough away from the heat, from the fire, we go, oh, it doesn't hurt here anymore. So I'm going to chill, not motivated anymore. And then they eventually drift. They feel the heat again. Fuck. Motivated again. Then they get here again. And that's why most people just dip in this space forever. So if they're there right now, before you get depressed, because I was there for a long time, I'm like, well, how do I start to switch and pivot into something that's more towards motivating? Because if we can move towards what we want, it's more motivating, it's easier, it's more effortless unconsciously than it is to avoid something we don't want. Because it takes a lot more energy to avoid what we don't want, even though it's motivating, but it takes more energy, but we can put the energy into the things that we want. So it sounds like your kids are just more towards motivate, which is fantastic.
They love to learn, they like to take action, they're filled with energy, they just want to do stuff.
Yeah, but they will learn and get their wins through dopamine, right? So they have a success, then they get a dopamine reward, and they start to have a dopamine loop, being like, I fucking love this. Now I'm addicted to winning. And I started to pivot myself there because I was in this for my finances. All my goals were just to this. And I just got over it one day. I'm like, why the fuck am I not actually growing? Like bigger than whatever. And I cracked this code. I'm like, because I just wanted to get to a safety buffer where I felt secure. And then I'd chill again. And I'd get down. And as soon as it was painful, I'm sitting on my nail again. Fuck. I get off. And I started to switch it by just doing this simple thing. Celebrating every single little win. And I started celebrating making my bed. I'd wake up, I'd make my bed in the morning, and I'd be like, and I'd just like a conscious acknowledgement, be like, fuck yeah, good shit, win. I'd go and make a shake in the morning, bang, shake. I'd go to have my workout. Fuck yeah, I just did a good workout. Even if it was shit, I just completed a good workout. And I started to actually celebrate my little wins. I'd close one deal. Like my goals used to be like, I'll feel successful when I make $1 million in 1 year, right? It's like, yeah, but that might not happen this year. But I'm like, what if I could just start feeling really successful and proud of myself when I close one deal? Because I can close a deal every day and close multiple a day. So I started to just celebrate these little tiny wins, but then I started to actually attach rewards and awards for myself. So I'd be like, okay, if I close 5 deals this week, here's how I'm going to reward myself. Go to a nice bar, glass of champagne. I'm going to get a bowl of champagne, watch sunset. And all these sorts of things started to happen for me where I would start associating doing little things with these epic rewards I wanted. And I would start to, I skipped out. I flew from Australia to the States, I think about 8 times. I flew over Hawaii every time. All I ever wanted to do was go to Hawaii. But I said, I will not go there until I hit this goal.
By the way that I went to live in Hawaii was from flying to Australia, and I was pissed that I didn't get to see it, so I went and lived there. From flying from Vancouver to Australia and doing a layover there, I was fucking pissed I couldn't get out and see it, so then I wound up moving there for 4 years.
How good. But this was the thing. I attached the thing I wanted. I want to make sure that I'm going to do something that's deserving and not punishing myself. I got to smash it. I'm not deserving it. It's like, no, I'm going to positive association to, I want to make sure that now my mind's going, fuck yeah. So when I went to Hawaii, I was so excited that I'm like, okay, what's the next goal? What else do I want? How else am I going to reward myself? And this was starting to be stack to actually going forward, because the away will get you started, but it'll get you to that buffer zone where it's far enough away from not sucking anymore. And then it's about towards motivated. So it sounds like your kids are like, I wouldn't be worried about them being like, oh, they don't have trauma yet. Here's also the thing though, they'll make trauma. Here's the funny thing, like my girlfriend, we have her very good friend in Lithuania. We'll joke about that. Like she grew up in like an amazing family, like a proper white picket fence, the most beautiful, loving parents, amazing brother. Like they're so amazing, the whole family. And my partner had a pretty interesting, more rougher upbringing, right? Like most of us. And we're talking to her on the phone one day. She goes, I've started seeing a therapist. And we go, what for? And she goes, oh, my childhood trauma. We go, fucking what trauma, bitch? Right? And I'm like, but here's the thing. We are meaning-making machines. We take in 2 million pieces of information every single 1 second. We process 134 bits of that information every 1 second. That's a fuck ton of bits of information left out unconsciously. That's deleted, generalized, or distorted. And we create meanings and emotions on every single little thing for our entire fucking life. Then people turn 26 one day. Oh, why do I keep sabotaging relationships? Well, because your dad said one thing to you when you were 6 and you interpreted it that you would never be enough for him, or some shit like that. This is why I'm obsessed with figuring out our own stuff, and doing the work comes down to this. Number one is awareness. We can't intervene with a world that we can't see. So if we really want to manipulate our life, manipulate our own minds, awareness is the first thing. Become aware of, I'm doing that shitty behavior again. And sometimes people will ask, well, what's a bad behavior? I would say if a behavior happens more than one time that doesn't serve you, it's called a pattern. And if it's a pattern in your life, that's something to investigate. Like, because I do shit behavior sometimes. It happens one time and I'm like, well, it's not a pattern. So that was just like a one thing, right? But if I keep doing it, I'm like, interesting. Now I'm aware I'm doing it. Step 1. Step 2 is understanding. Why am I doing it? What am I trying to get from this? What's my payoff from doing this? And what am I avoiding? Because I'm avoiding some pain. I'm avoiding either discomfort of going within, discomfort of having to talk to someone, the discomfort, the fear. I'm avoiding some sort of pain and I'm getting some sort of payoff. Now I'm going to try to understand this. Why am I doing it? Where did it come from? Once I start to have this understanding of like, I'm doing that thing because that's how I learned growing up. Because the next developmental period is 7 to 14, which you said kid can get up on stage and you don't even know how he's a speaker. Modeling phase. 7 to 14 is all about modeling. You're his role model. He sees you all the time. He just knows how to do it. Bang, bang, bang. 14, 21, socialization phase. So we'll start to develop and shift values through here. Our values are a big stack of things, but the people we surround ourselves with. And then 21 to 25 is 21 to about 30 actually is the business developmental phase. So a lot of people, if you can get entrepreneurs, people up and coming entrepreneurs from 21 to 30, and come hang around with you for a while, you really just shape the shit out of them. After 30, it becomes a little harder. You know, Ty actually told me this one day. Ty's like, after the age of 25, it becomes harder. They need severe trauma in their life to actually create massive change. Like it needs to suck so bad where they go, I'm not fucking doing this anymore. And they make a massive decision, draw a line in the sand and go, never again. Up until 25, they're quite suggestive. Like, don't do that. Go there. And they're like, that's a bit better, right?
You know, I got a couple of nice pieces out of that. 2 things. One is that as far as social skills, you could teach that to somebody at 50 theoretically 100x faster than somebody who's 22 or 23. So you'll see like a guy who's 50 who's like, well, could I really learn this at 50? And I'm like, no, you are a far more personally powerful person. So when you go out and you socialize, even with people, a lot younger than you, you are going to have so much presence at 50 compared to like some dude who's 23. It's a night and day difference, and you're far more intelligent. You have the capacity to learn what it is that I'm teaching you about social skills far quicker. You've got way more building blocks put in place than a younger person. You should be able to learn this about 10 times faster than them, and probably about 10 times better than them. Like, that really is true. But the truth is that most guys that are older will never learn what it is that I teach, not because they couldn't. I mean, it would be like, they could learn what I'm teaching in an hour, like literally an hour, if they decided to. Yes. Like, what would take a 22-year-old a year, they could learn in an hour because they've got decades of building blocks that a 23-year-old doesn't have.
Yes, all that evidence.
Oh, decades
of evidence of like, I'm too old, I'm this. Or...
Well, what I mean is that they're like, what really works in social skills is being personally deeply grounded, somebody who has the ability to socialize, which, like, every single year you're getting more social reference points. So, like, when a 50-year-old listens to me, wow, they get good. Like, I could, like, if a 50-year-old will humble themselves and actually listen to me, I can create miracles within hours that would take somebody who's younger a year to create, because they just don't have those decades of experiences. But the problem is that 50-year-old, a lot of them are uncoachable, truly arrogant, and truly uncoachable. They're like, just shouldn't be like this, and I don't want to have to do this, and I've got dignity. And it's like, well, then sit at home alone, or go live with your troll. And that's literally like what's going to actually happen. And it's like, if they could just humble themselves for like, can you give me 30 minutes of an open mind the way that you would have given that to a teacher in grade school? But they can't. But the ones who do, wow, they get so good. It is unstoppable if they will humble themselves. Yeah. But it's very, very hard to get an older person to humble themselves or to even recognize there's a problem. See, the thing with me is, when I built my business, I was sleeping on floors, sleeping on couches, sleeping in closets. That's not hard to do. It's actually not. We come from being cavemen, living in nature and stuff like that. You can easily do it, but it's very, very rare that a 50-year-old man is willing to do that. He's like, I am 50, I can't do that. And then what winds up happening is they now have a competitive disadvantage to a 22-year-old who's willing to just do whatever it takes. So that's just kind of how it is. Now, the other thing is that what you're talking about as far as forward motivation. So a lot of what we teach in social skills is we'll say, okay, so here's like a venue, right? So let's say that theoretically the venue's like a square. And we say you're going to walk in and you're going to approach every single person and talk to them. And after every single social interaction, you're going to say, 1,000 out of 10. Who the fuck would have the balls to do that? You're going to find something funny about it and maybe look at something you might fine-tune or tweak. And then you're going to do that with every single person that you see as you move through the venue, through, say, the first side of the square. Then at the edge of the square, you give yourself a big reward. I fucking did it. Pause, reflect on what you did, take a short little break, feel awesome about what you did, the fact that nobody would do that sober, and you did that. You went and engaged all these people. Some liked you, some didn't. All good. 1,000 out of 10. Why do we say 1,000 out of 10? Because if we say 10 out of 10, they're going to be inclined to say 7 out, but it was really 7 out of 10 or 6 out of 10. No, it's 1,000 out of 10. Why? Because who the fuck would have the balls to do that? And you've got to say it in your nervous system.
To say that to the person? Is that what you're saying?
No, they say it to themselves.
In their head.
Yeah, but you would think that would be a newbie exercise. Mm-hmm. But I no longer have to actively say that, but that is the dialogue going in my head. Because look, I'm blunt about it. I'm like, because you'll see dudes at the club that are with a lot of attractive people, and you're like, oh, look how cool that guy looks. Oh, but it's like, yo, he came with that group. He didn't go meet them cold.
And they probably bought models.
They brought them, and or bought bottles. Or it's like, no, I'm doing this shit cold. Nobody's there with me. Just a man on a mission, on his own, or maybe the buddy. I'm doing this shit. Who the fuck would have the balls to do that? 1,000 out of 10. And like, that's in my mind. Then I always find something hilarious about it. Because like, if you had a social interaction with somebody, you can't find something funny, you're not creative enough. There's always something funny. The whole scenario is funny. So, and then I try to think about what I might fine tune. And then I do that. I get to the edge of the square. I've now engaged all these people. And then I give myself a reward. Then I do the top of the square again. And every single time, who the fuck would have the balls to do that? And so right in the nervous system. It can't be, who the fuck would other balls to do that, right? You're just going through the motions at that point. You're sleepwalking through it. It's like when I do a speech, I got to bring energy to the speech. I can't just go, okay, but then this. No, it's like bring some fucking energy. So then I do that. I do the whole square. By the time that I get back to the start, I give myself a huge mental, like I basically administer my own dopamine. So I don't wait for a good response to get dopamine. I administer my own dopamine, right? I'll give a somewhat of a vulgar analogy here. So hopefully your audience doesn't think that you're hanging out people a little too wacky. It's not his fault, okay? But the example that I always give is if you're jerking off, look at what incredible state control that you have. You can use your own hand, the hand of a man no less, like a man's hairy man hand, and you can jerk yourself off until you ejaculate. You have incredible state control. Like, I'm sorry, but like, you cannot be depressed if you could jack off because you can literally tell yourself, I'm fucking. Like, you can hypnotize yourself to think that your man hand that's giving you a male autoerotic hand job is a woman, right? Like, to the point that you bust a nut. You have crazy state control. Okay, you literally convince yourself of something that, like if you can convince yourself that you're actively having sex till you come, I hate to say it, but a sad person can convince themselves they're sad till they commit suicide. Okay, and I get it that one's mental illness related perhaps, but you know my point, okay? Which one of the two, I'll let you take your pick. But the point being, you're hypnotizing yourself every day. So look, if you can hypnotize yourself until you literally ejaculate, you have way better state control than you're giving yourself credit for. So what I'm doing is basically mentally jacking myself off, metaphorically, because I'm going through the venue, and then rather than adopting the frame of, well, I'm going to lose dopamine when it doesn't go well, but I'm going to gain dopamine when it goes well, well, look what's happening now. It's like my whole reward system is a mess.
But your reward system is built to not the outcome, but from what you can control.
Process.
That's the thing.
Like the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, so you're like, I don't give a fuck what happens here. As long as I control the thing I'm doing, I'm going to do the action, fuck yeah. That way you're always in control of that. And then if the outcome is the outcome you want, it happens, you're like, well, that's even better. But if it doesn't happen, I'm still happy tonight. And you're actually talking about the third, I said the three things of transformational change: awareness, understanding, reconditioning. So that's what you're doing. You're actually, fuck yeah, I can do this. Fuck yeah, I can do this. Fuck yeah, I can do this.
And by the way,
over and over.
I didn't even know all your knowledge. I came up with this from trial and error for many years, but also what I like about it is that, because what I thought I would do is I'd go into the club, and then I became like this leaf in the wind. Like, I like the little square method for me, because I found I became a leaf in the wind. Like, I'd go in there, someone might not want to talk to me, I'd go, oh, then like a leaf in the wind, I just go over here, oh, then I go over here, oh, then I go, and you go in this downward spiral. All your dopamine crashes, you get crushed, you go home destroyed, right? And that's where you see these guys go online, they're like, it could never work, and it's all looks money status, and like they just don't know how to control their state. So what winds up happening is I do the square. By the end of the square, first of all, I feel awesome. Second of all, I've controlled my own frame the whole time. Third of all, I don't really have as much of, say, a needy vibe, because I'm not...
You're not there for them.
I'm not there.
You're there for you.
I'm just there for me, so they can kind of feel I'm about to leave. They're like, hey, wait. So now I've gone and talked to everybody. Now I've unlocked the entire club because everybody there is enjoying my company, or a tremendous amount of people that are enjoying my company. Not everyone always will, but basically a lot of people do. So now you know the whole club. So now all of a sudden you've jacked your dopamine through the roof like a sober version beyond Coke. Then you're also feeling like you're super winning. Then you now know like 80% of the people in the venue. And then by the time that you do that whole square, people are coming up to you, they're high-fiving you, they're re-engaging you, you're in this complete flow state, you're not over-analyzing, you're not self-criticizing, you're feeling freaking amazing, you feel super alpha, and you're doing it sober while a lot of these other dumb motherfuckers are getting drunk and intoxicated, they're getting fucking sloppy, you're not sloppy, you're sharp. They might be... at the beginning of the night, they might be a little sharper than you because of getting drunk. They've got like that kind of like the good part of the buzz going. But by 2 a.m. when it counts, they're fucking sloppy ass drunk. And you've been building a natural dopamine buzz, a sober version that entire time. And you just flamethrow these motherfuckers. I mean, all these dudes get clowned, they get chumped. You destroy all of them. They have no control. They can't keep up. Everyone who they came there with is leaving with you. They're in shock. They're like, oh, wait, and they can't understand why, because you did it the right way, and it's just an absolute domination. And that starts with, again, it's not about manipulating others, it's about manipulating yourself.
Yeah. Also, back to the full circle, manipulating ourselves, there's a thing called, psychologists call this a perceptual set, where our expectations, like the expectation effect, if you've heard of that before, the things that we expect to happen, it's literally like, we're just talking about your projector here, right? Whatever, if I put, I don't know why I just thought it, Shrek was the first thing came to mind. If I put Shrek in that fucking thing, what are the chances Mission Impossible will come out on that screen? It's not going to happen. But the things I load into my projector, right? So they call this like our perception of our world, our reality is nothing other than a projection of what's happening internally. So that's why if we can control our internal state, and it sounds trippy, but it's fucking true, we will literally project into the world. It's like putting on goggles, right? If we put on goggles that are just filled with the only things that we're putting into our head is, I can't do this just sucks, this sucks. We're putting on goggles of like just lack opportunity. Then we'll only see that reality. Our reality will actually come true because the 2 million pieces of information every 1 second is what happens, but so much of it is unconscious. We have as part of our brain called the reticular activating system. It's only going to pick up the things that we program it to look for. Yeah, right? And it can be so switched by actually changing and putting on the goggles that we want to be putting on. So that's why when we're talking about manipulating ourselves to manipulate our outside world, that psychology and neuroscience have proven if we can literally change how we see our own internal state, it will change the reality in which we see it. That's why two people, there's that story of the twin boys grew up with an alcoholic father. One boy grew up to become an alcoholic. One grew up never to have a drink of alcohol in his life. And the guy goes, why are you alcoholic? Well, my dad was an alcoholic. Why do you not drink? Well, my dad was an alcoholic. Exact same fucking thing, completely different reality in their life. Exact same event. One saw it as an excuse to go, well, fuck, I need to be like him. And the other guy goes, I don't want to be like him. Completely different decision, different reality, and different life. So it all starts within.
Dad, actually.
True?
Yeah.
You don't drink or?
I don't drink because I saw what happens.
Yeah. You don't drink at all?
No, because I saw what happens.
Yeah. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to go from here?
Anywhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was beautiful. That was a great fucking explanation that you gave there. And I think it would give a lot of people context. What are maybe some, how long have we been going, John?
52 minutes.
Cool. So yeah, maybe any final thoughts, that, like actionable things or anything that people might kind of want to take home, maybe for like another 5-10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, you've met some audience before. How do you feel about what they would take from it?
I think like, you know, if I can just put myself back into the shoes of like, I've done pretty well now. I just turned 31. It feels crazy to say. I made millions of dollars in my 20s. I was financially free at 23. But 19, I tried to take my own life. So there was a period in my life where the pendulum was so fucking far one way. And a few years later, it came the other way. And I moved to Mexico, living on the beach of Mexico at 23 years old. And I just probably, if I can sort of give like one thing, it's none of this is, it's a continual repetition of the continual journey to improve ourselves. And I've invested probably like 400K nearly into myself now in just personal development, coaches, mentoring, courses, programs, masterminds, all of this, because I become just absolutely addicted to going, how much better can I get? Knowing that's a muscle. Our brain's a muscle. And if you go to the gym one time, you do bench press one time, you're not gonna get jacked. But if you go every single day, you do what your coach shows you, and you put the reps in even on the days you don't want to go, this is where it's really starting to build the reps in. So I think if I was to really kind of give one bit of advice is commit to this journey. It should be a forever thing, but really commit to it. It should be like a 5-year thing before you really kind of assess, go, does this self-help work for me? 5 fucking years. People commit 5 years to a university degree that they fucking hate and they don't even want to go to. But when it comes to really doing the work that can transform their life, they're like, oh, I didn't become a millionaire in a weekend. What do you mean? And just,
Yeah, right? Like
it's a fucking journey. Like it took me about 2.5 years before I really, and I haven't figured it out yet. You know, there's that saying is like, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know anything. It took me about 2.5 years before I realized I was like, I'm kind of figuring this now. I started seeing faster results in business. But someone asked me one time, they're like, if you were to write a book just on one thing, that's the only thing you could leave on this earth, what would it be? I'm like, easy. How to develop self-esteem. Probably wouldn't be titled that. It's going to be something sexier because I have a good hook. Otherwise, no one will pick it up. But you get the gist. And it would be a very short book. And it would just be to start really collecting inventory on the things that you said you're going to do. So I said to you earlier tonight, right? We were talking hours ago. It's now 3 o'clock in the morning here, right? And we were talking at a party, and you're like, let's record. I said, yeah, when? Tomorrow? And you're like, no, tonight at midnight. I'm like, fucking midnight. And I'm like, and I was like, it's like, if I fly out tomorrow, I don't know what I'm going to see next. I go, fuck it. I go, I don't know how. I don't know what I'm going to feel like in 4 hours, but if I'm a man on my word, I'll be there. I said it to you. I'm like, I'll be there. And then we went out to the comedy club and had some drinks. And I was like, man, I'm fucking cooked. But I'm like, but I told him I'd be there. And then when I rock up, Sorry?
Did you drink tonight?
Yeah, we had a few. Yeah. And because my brain's not working as good now as what it would be at probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Are you
But-
buzzed right now?
No, I'm
Okay.
good. I'm good. I have a responsibility still. I'm like, I'm not gonna rock up fucking cooked.
Yeah.
But but the biggest thing for me was like, what's most important is I do the thing I said I was gonna do.
Yeah.
'Cause
Next time we got to do this drunk.
Yeah, all right. But tomorrow I'll be a little tired, but I'll feel a lot better about myself that I did the thing that was it was way easy for me to be like, no, bro, I'm going to sleep. That's what I do. So I got shit I do tomorrow. But it's like, no, I said I'll sleep when I'm dead. That's why I said that to you as well. I'm like, it's cool. Like, I'll figure it out. So the most important thing is to really develop self-esteem is to one, acknowledge where our level of comfort is. Where our level of comfort is it's just so cliche, but to continually step outside the comfort zone. Because what I realized through the journey of skydiving is I got up against something that was really fucking uncomfortable. Like, I'm always doing the out of the box thing. I do all the things. I'm like, I'm very aware of do the uncomfortable. But throwing yourself out of an airplane with nothing but a backpack after you've watched a few videos online, or like they put you through a day of training, 6 hours of training. Okay, jump now. Like, are you fucking serious? No, that was very uncomfortable. But what happened is, as soon as I landed on the ground and I did the thing that was fucking hard, where I had the option to do what was easier, right? The thing is, choose your hard. It's hard to jump out of the airplane, but it's also hard to go against the thing that I said I was going to do. Choose your hard. So I keep doing the thing that we all know the answer. Do the hard thing that you know is the thing you need to do. But as soon as I landed on the fucking ground, I was like, fuck yeah! I went and rigged up. I went again. Now I've done nearly 30 jumps.
Good for you, man.
And it just gets easier and it gets easier. I get calmer, I get better, I get more confident because I just keep doing it over and over and over. So the most important thing for me is really recognizing that it's a continual journey of continually improving ourselves over and over. But the thing that grows our self-esteem is becoming a person that does the fucking things you said you're going to do, long after the feeling in which you said it has gone. That's the biggest. That's why I'm very careful when I say yes to people and things, because I'm like, I said yes to you at like 7:30, and I'm like, I'm keen, but I don't know how, in 5 hours, what am I going to feel like in 5 hours? But I'm like, well, if you say yes, doesn't matter how you feel, you fucking pull it together and you get ready. Okay, do it. So I'd be very careful when I throw a yes around, because it's a fucking done. And I really think that's been the biggest thing that's helped me and backed me as a person in life to do the most crazy things. I do a lot of crazy shit. Take a lot of big risks in business and in life. And the biggest thing that's really helped is because I just back myself, because I continually do shit that's hard. So when I need an inventory check to be like, can I jump out of an airplane? I go, well, let's look at all the other badass things I've done. I'm pretty fucking confident. If I don't find my ripcord up there, I'm confident I can figure out how to do my emergency thing. So that's what I'll give you people.
Yeah, so you're saying the biggest thing being keeping promises to yourself.
Keeping promises to yourself.
You
Biggest
know-
thing. Because people are okay they can justify not doing a promise to themselves, but not usually to someone else. They'll be like, oh, but I told him I'd be there, I'd go there, right? But what about when you said to yourself, you're not going to fucking sleep with your ex again, right?
That's why my self-esteem so low.
Right? But like I see women especially, right? Like women will come to my events, all that. Oh, I've gone and slept with my ex again. You said you wouldn't do that. You said he makes you feel like a piece of shit when you do that. But you did it. Well, you don't feel like a piece of shit because you went and did it. You actually feel like a piece of shit because you did the thing you said you weren't going to do again.
Yeah.
So you feel actually shamed that you let yourself down again. It's not the act. It's the thing that you did. You broke your own promise because you would not do that to your best friend. People treat themselves really fucking bad. And it's mostly keeping promises to ourselves because we think, well, no one will know about it. But you know what? Your unconscious mind will know about it. And it keeps a fucking inventory of all this shit.
Yeah.
So the next time you need it and you go, I'm going to set a big goal this year, your unconscious mind goes, no, you're not. Because you can't even keep it in your fucking pants. You keep going back to your ex, right? You don't
That's to one of my exes, in which case, don't listen to him. Your self-esteem will go up. It will go up.
Right? Just the first example that came to mind. But people do things, they say, I'm not going to do that anymore. And they can do it. You said you weren't going to do it. Right? It's those things that count, right? That's why it's important for me. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And if I say I'm not going to do something, I fucking mean it as well. It's like I used to throw it around quite easy. I was a yes man. Yeah. And then people would go, sometimes people are like, oh, but what if I say yes to a thing, and then when the time comes, look, everything's always up for negotiation. If I had to hit the wall fucking hard, I would have called you and be like, dude, I'm not going to be at the best I can now. I know I feel so bad. I can still be there though. If I can still be there, I'm still going to commit to it. But if you think if we can do it tomorrow, I'm going to be way better. And if you're called out, I'm called out. Otherwise, I'll still be there at 12. That's my out. And it's because like my priority still is I committed and I'll fucking man up and deal with it. But I think it might be better if we do it tomorrow. But and if you're like, well, I'm leaving tomorrow. Okay, well, I'll be there 12. Done. And deal with it and myself. And then if I don't like it, I go, okay, well, don't overcommit is easy next time then.
You know, something that you might like too is what I'll try to do is about once a year a brutally savage hike, and I'm talking not just like a regular tough hike. Yeah, I'm talking. Okay, well that's what I'm saying, right? So you pick one that is just brutal, you know, to where about a quarter of the way in you're like, what the fuck did I agree to? Like this is crazy. Like this is fucking crazy. And you will spend, you know, say it's like, I don't know, it might be like, say about around a 12-hour hike or so. It's like, but a tough one, you know, around from maybe hour 4 onward, the whole time is just a process of self-negotiation where you're like, I'm going to go back, I'm going to stop. You know, maybe you hit like a stream, you just kind of want to stay in the stream, maybe, you know, maybe go to bed for the night. And, definitely some of the hardest things that I've been through as far as digging really, really deep and learning about my own process of self-justification and rationalization has been some of these really tough hikes. The one that I really recommend to people, but it takes preparation, like because unfortunately I think some people do hear me say this and then they go unprepared, and I think that's frankly dangerous to their lives because you do have to prepare for it, is the Kalalau Trail in Kauai is my favorite. So you've been to Hawaii because that was part of your reward. Which island did you go to? Probably Oahu?
I've been to Oahu and Maui.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, both amazing. So on Kauai, which is maybe for the next time, Kauai has one of the hardest hikes in America. It's called the Kalalau Trail. And you're on the side of cliffs over the ocean. It's probably the most beautiful hike in America.
It's dangerous?
It is.
Close to the cliff,
Yeah, there's parts of it like Crawler's Ledge that are at mile 7 that are very dangerous. But you'll make it, you know, just stay calm, stay focused. But yeah, it is a little crazy when you're like, you know, there's like a trail like that wide at the most beside a cliff, and then there's the ocean. If you fall, you die, and you know you've got a big backpack on, and you've been hiking all day, and you're exhausted. You could hit it during rain, and people do die there. So you know, I've hiked that. I've hiked it with my kids. I've hiked it with my friends, and yeah, you know, like with Dylan, my son, he did collapse on it in complete exhaustion, fully collapsed. Yeah, but then he powered through, you know, and so he's proud of that, right? I've collapsed on it. So you see yourself in this process of extreme mental negotiation, right? Now you do some very long seminars. What are some of the longest seminars that you've done?
40 hours in 3 days.
40 hours in 3 days, yeah. So yeah, some of the longest ones that I've done is like I mean, I've done a lot of crazy ones, but commonly I'll do about 4 or 5 days, you know, and they're really long. And I'm a bit weird, but I have this weird thing that's very strange that I like to do. But one, and you might get into this, you might not, but I love the idea of like being a pure form orator. So doing it actually without being connected to the speakers. So I actually have trained my nervous system to be able to support my voice blasting through the seminar room.
You do it with no mic.
I do a mic to the camera, but not to the speakers. So my voice is, and it's just booming out, right? And so I've got to be able to control my nervous system and my voice to boom through the room without speakers. Now, it makes my videos look a bit crazy because it always looks like me yelling, right? They're like, why is this guy yelling all the time, right? But they don't understand that I'm not using speakers. So, and in the room, it's just like this booming rock concert, kind of like an opera singer or something. So I do that because now I will sometimes use speakers, particularly if I'm doing like, you know, events back to back to back to back to back to back to back. So I'll do that out of respect for the people who might attend later in all those back to backs to be at my best. But frequently, I don't use speakers. Very frequently. In fact, it's 99% of any seminar that you see from me online is without speakers. So I just train myself to do that because I enjoy it. It's just personally a hobby for me. It's also a metaphor for being out in clubs where it's very loud, and a lot of our clients are out in clubs. So, but we also teach a lot of vocal projection. So there's many reasons that we don't use speakers. But occasionally I will use speakers, and it's pretty awesome. That's like, you're like Zeus. You're like, ha ha ha. It's like easy mode. It's crazy. But usually I don't use them. So as a result of that, I'm one of the most naturally loud voices of anyone you'd ever see. It's completely crazy. I'm not using it right now. I'm not using it all right now, but it is scary. It's scary loud. Like if people are beside me, like their ears will start ringing and stuff. So, but the mic actually caps it. So if I'm doing a seminar training and I'm yelling at a 10 and then I pass the mic and they're yelling at like a 4, it sounds the same because the mic's regulating it, but in person it sounds different. So anyway, so I will do long seminars, and it was the hiking that was a big part of training me to not become tired or to negotiate those longer events, because it basically taught me over the years how to go through that process of my brain kind of attacking me with excuses and force feeding all these excuses into the forefront of my mind, making me feel like I'm the one thinking of it, when in fact it is not me thinking of it, it's just my brain just doing it, and then learning to just stay present to that and continue to go. And I've also done extensive videos where I've talked about excuse making with social skills, like, you know, you go to meet somebody and then your brain says, well, you know, they're not attractive enough, they're too attractive, they're with guys, they're like this, they're like that, I'm gonna walk around the club, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, I'll do it later, you know, and so on and so forth. And just watching the extent to which the mind is constantly making excuses and how important it is both to recognize that your mind is lying to you, but also to build entire systems to where you don't need to negotiate all of these fucking lies that your brain is telling you. For example, with that system that I was teaching you about, the square, it's like that's meant to handle all that noise in the mind, where it's like, oh, I'm not going to say hi to them, I'm not going to say hi to them. It's a system that you have where it's just based on the process, so it will actually wipe it all out. Because the problem is, like, when you go to talk to someone, you might feel your brain being flooded with 6 different excuses. Too attractive. Well, actually, maybe not attractive enough. I go to the bathroom. I'll do it later. They're on the move. Like, they're moving. They're going over here now. When, like, literally, if you just use your voice properly, you could yell. You could say something funny. You know, there's so many ways you could holler at them. Like, there's just so many awesome ways that you could do it. But your mind will lie to you. So if you try to nix each of these out, like, oh, that's not true. Or, that's also not true. Also not true. And, you know, I'm trying to be focused on my, you know, what I'm trying to get here.
Victim. It's the biggest thing, right?
Being at the effects.
Transformation really starts at actually taking responsibility of everything we have and everything we don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's the thing that you already hit before. It's like, if you're not willing to actually be open, no transformation will happen.
Correct.
It's cause and effect, psychology 101. It's like, if you're going to be at the effect of life happening to you, if it's going to be like, life's happening to me, then good luck.
Good luck.
You know, but if you can at least meet at the face of going, I'm going to take responsibility for, yeah, this is actually just fucking hard. Just say what it is. It's hard. Good. Starting point. Let's go from here. But taking massive responsibility, you know, I've never heard anyone ever say, we've all heard self-made millionaire, self-made billionaire. Have you ever heard anyone say, I'm a self-made, average, unhappy, overweight, single person? No, because people only take responsibility for where they are when they like where they are. But to get to a place where you like being where you are, you got to take responsibility for where you are right now. That's the beginning of the fucking journey.
Well, I also like what you're saying too, because basically you should be saying I'm a self-made broke person. That's basically what you're saying,
Yeah.
right? We should start that as a trend, like, self-made poor person. Good for you, but that's of course against the narrative,
Yes.
right? That's against the regime, because the regime needs us to believe that we're not self-made poor person. That is this the big Bubba is doing it to you, and that you need them to come protect you,
Yeah,
which
but
then
then
hides
we-
you from your power.
We give away our power.
Yeah, that's
Well, it's not me, it's them.
yeah.
Oh,
There's
okay.
there's always a politician.
It's the
Yeah,
justifying,
Yeah.
create a belief, it rationalize to ourselves. Oh, in fact, well, right, then you manipulate your whole reality to exactly how it has been. Well, congratulations, continue with your life exactly how
yeah.
it's been then.
And a politician will tell you they're going to save you from it,
Yeah.
right? Like a politician really says, like, yo, like, economy sucks because y'all ain't, like, invent some shit, motherfuckers, right? But they're not going to say that. They're going to say that, like, no, you're not in control. And by the way, to wrap that other thread, that system with the square is built to handle all of those excuses without you having to consciously do it. The system itself handles it for you. And I'm sure that you have many systems like that that are basically built to, like, if you just do these, like, couple simple things, all those hundreds of bad things automatically don't happen. Like you said, self-esteem is an example, because that would be a buffer or a bulwark against that. There's many bulwarks. And we'll do another video at some point. But also, if you want to learn more, watch his channel. Where can they find you? And please give, like, the best description possible.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Firstly, thanks so much for having me on. It was awesome that we just met. I appreciate you. The start of lots of cool things together. So, yeah, you guys can find me on Instagram, Morgan T. Nelson. YouTube, we have Morgan Nelson. We have our podcast called Dream Out Loud. So we put out a lot of, obviously I'm Australian. So we've got a number 6 personal development and entrepreneurship podcasts in Australia. So we've interviewed some amazing people. We have you on next time down here, over here, up here. And so we put a lot of content out there. Go to the podcast, go to Instagram, go to YouTube, come hang out with us there. We don't really do anything in America yet, so all of my content is just 100% free, full of you guys. So go and enjoy, take it, transform your life, and have an amazing life. So appreciate you, bro. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. We'll be back more soon. Peace.